Hi, everybody. I'm Teresa Sterling. Thank you for being along here. And as membership collective members, it means the world. And I really do appreciate you being here. It gives purpose to a lot of the things that I do in terms of sharing behind the scenes. And so that is exactly what I was planning on doing with you this evening. I'm just wrapping up a long studio session. It's been rolling for several weeks now, and I'm working on some pretty good sized pieces. I'll turn this around so you can see better. But I thought I would share something that actually is a quirky but important part of my practice. Why turn it upside down? This is a big trick that I learned from a high school art teacher. Believe it or not, Mr. Larson. He taught us that if you turn your reference image upside down, excuse me, for example, in high school, I worked on an eagle and it was a pencil drawing. And if you turn it upside down, you tend not to focus on exactly how the proportions should go and flow, but rather you focus on the lines or the image that you're using as your reference as you're drawing it out. And I do that when I'm a couple of layers in on a photo encaustic piece. I'll turn it upside down and then I'll start looking at my reference image and working on getting proportions more tuned up, if you will. So, thought I would bring you in studio and just show you how I'm doing that with a couple of pieces, and we'll have some fun with this. So, I'll turn. So, here is a good scale, large scale encaustic piece that I'm working on. And I turned down one bay of lights because it can get really bright in here. So, I thought for these purposes, I would just give you a quick rundown to show you again in a specific way what helps me when I'm looking at a textured piece like this. Well, I can start to look at this white horizon line up there and I say, okay, the line sort of ends at this point here. So maybe I'll work on just getting rid of that. And so I start looking at my reference composition, not in a way to copy it per se, but I'm trying to get as close to it per agreed upon with the collectors and myself. And so I've got a ways to go on softening the overall piece, but let me just zoom out for you again so you get a sense of what I'm talking about. Turn it upside down. I use those bicycle hooks that we installed so that I can, at least have a good look at things. These pieces are too big to just set some sort of ladder behind them. So anyway, that's another piece. Here's a fun one I'm doing personally, and this is more nature deconstructed. And so, yes, I'm going with a photographic image, but I'm trying to find some cool ways to really deconstruct it. And I'm doing this one for my own personal collection. So there's that. So we have those that I shared with you. Now, here's another that is well underway, and I've got some challenges that I need to soften. When I look at the reference images, I'm also looking at some color swatches that I want to be sure to include. But tomorrow is all about softening, and it's about studying the peaks in their upside down status right now. And it's just really more about making sure that I'm creating an effect, but not forcing it. I guess that's the best reason why I do this with the upside down trick. And so I hope, sorry, I walked away from my microphone here. I hope in some ways this is helpful to all of you. I would highly encourage it in some of your projects. If you have a reference image, it's a great way to go. And more specifically, I'll be studying things on the reference image here, such as, you know, do I have enough space? Do I soften enough as the mountain peaks scale down the hill? That kind of thing. So without getting too technical, just because I'm not really, super technical, I'm self-taught, and these are tips and tricks that really helped me, and I'm hoping can help you in some way if you're creating. If your line of work is totally different, maybe just think about ways that you can alter your inputs in order to refine your output and your process. And there are lots of ways, no matter what you're working on, that you can do that. And believe it or not, even just simple things like changing the way you're doing things the 3 different ways each day. These are just little, they call them atomic habits, just little tiny habits that if you shift and change can yield some really great and impressive results. But no matter what your line of work is, what you're doing creatively, just consider maybe how you can kind of change the overall input in order to achieve your optimal output. And maybe you can call it a cheat code. That's great. I'm all for that too. But I will say, I am pretty excited about all that's happening here and having the very best time with all of these concoctions going on. And yeah, it's kind of messy. It's a sprint. And anyway, thanks for being along for the ride. And I really do appreciate each and every one of you being here. Have a great week. Bye bye. All right, I just wanted to give you guys one final little tip. You can see with the lights on how this piece is coming along. I think it's super cool. I still have some softening to do, and there are different ways to achieve that. So I'm keen to do it tomorrow. I did also want to say one little tip is take a photo of it upside down and compare it to your reference photo. That's also a really great cheat code if it comes to art. But again, there are lots of ways you can do this in your work that you do or your creative pursuits. And if you have any questions about it, just drop us a note and I'd be happy to respond to you personally. Thanks. Bye bye.